something with it because I look at the work that I do as practical applications of love. And because we all know love is the answer, and we pray for love, and then we don't always know what does it look like, to do it well. So I just want to let you know that my commitment in my life is to create a world in which all people can love their lives. And by create a world, what I mean is, how do we create the conditions and the conversations so that we can love our lives? Because when we love our lives, we're living in God, we're living in love, we're able to be a contribution to the world. And when we're not loving our own life, and we're not loving, helping others love their lives, and we're not in that service mode, we're not generally very fulfilled. We're not necessarily feeling a lot of feelings that we need to feel, like feeling empowered, or feeling that we're likable and lovable, or feeling that we're connected even, or that we're able to make contributions. Because those are the things that give us meaning. I was just reading a book last night called Man's Search for Meaning, and it's written by a man named Frankl, Viktor Frankl. And he was a Holocaust survivor. And he basically said between stimulus and response, there's a pause where, like, that makes all the difference. What do we do with that pause in between stimulus and response? And what he found was that when people in the concentration camp would hold love for one another and service for one another, they didn't get as sick, they didn't get as weak, and they didn't die. Because that decision for how you're going to respond to what's in front of you is everything. It's intention. And so intention is a decision of what we're going to do between the stimulus and the response. And it's kind of amazing to think about it in terms of a horrific situation like being in a concentration camp. And in reading his story, it's worse than I even imagined. Like 90% of the people are killed immediately because they're not fit to work. That kind of thing. And so you can imagine the difficulty in making a choice to intend something that is meaningful, that is helpful, that is in love. And so I just invite you to my intention, which is to make a commitment in this moment to what can I learn to help create this world in which all people can love their lives. And so I'd like to just start by asking you, do you love your life? And is there anything in your life that you don't love right now? Anybody?
Yes, I love my life.
You do? 100%? There's no things that come to mind like I wish this was different?
Yes, there are some things that I wish were different.
Okay. Do you mind sharing generally what those are?
I wish... Let me think a little bit.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. For example, one time, a coach that I go to, she asked me, she goes, do you love your life? And I hadn't asked myself the question in a while. At that time, I said, well, there's two places I don't love my life. One is that I wasn't in great health, and I'm 40 pounds less than I was then at that time because I had written a vision for my health, and then I kind of needed a kick in the butt in order to get things going. I developed type 2 diabetes. And then I was like, heck no. And I made a decision to make a lot of changes. But I was aware that that was a place I wasn't loving my life. And I was aware of setting a stake in the ground that I wanted to do it differently. And so the other place I wasn't loving my life is I run my own business. And a lot of running your business means you have to go out and meet people and prospect for new customers. And I hate that part of it. Like, I'm great if somebody is in the room and they come up to me and say, hey, I'm really having trouble with something, then I'm totally comfortable. But to go around a room and try to figure out who's my next customer, it didn't feel right. So my coach said, well, why don't you just fire yourself from that job? And it hadn't even occurred to me that I could. And I said, wow, I'm going to do that. And as soon as I made the decision, I felt this weight lift off of me. Because sometimes we're not in the lane that we're intended to be in. It's just not my strength. And so the next time I went to a conference, it was on internal motivation. And it was, so I said internal or intrinsic motivation is loving what you do and loving who you are while you do it. And I told them the story about how I wasn't loving prospecting. So I told the group, I just want you to know I'm not going to be out hunting you down, prospecting you, because I just realized I don't like that. So if you like what you hear, you need to come to me because I'm not going to be hunting you down, And I felt so much more present because I wasn't saying, well, gosh, I'm spending all this money on this trip, who am I going to get to buy for me? I wasn't doing any of that. And it was so interesting because as I chose for loving my life, I had 2 customers come out of that. And I didn't even, wasn't attached or anything. So it's really important that we check in not only about our purpose, like my purpose is creating a world where people love their lives. That's why I want to know this morning where you do or where you don't. Because then I could possibly help you look at that the way my coach helped me look at that. And then also in each moment, like if I get upset by something, political or otherwise, and I'm ready to write an angry email, I can say, is this going to make me love my life more? Is this going to make the other person love their life more? Or the other people love their life more? And it kind of is a guiding star for me. So what do you guys think? Are you loving everything about your life? Your relationships, how much you get done? Okay, so you're saying no, Mamie. Yeah. So can you tell me, and without divulging a whole long thing about it, can you tell me, like, what are the areas? Is it relationships? Is it?
It's mostly, I guess it has to do with family. And okay. I struggle with a little bit of moving on since I lost my husband. And I'm just not comfortable at, I'm in the apartment where he was. And I think I can stay there, but then I don't want to. I don't need these 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom no more. But I'm just not comfortable in that area no more. Okay. And so when he passed, I had to take a job because now I'm moving with her on my own. And so I took this job and I'm like, I can do this. And it's standing up a lot and then there's messy people. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this for a certain amount of time, stash me some money aside, and then I'm just quit, And so, but other than that, I have a happy life. I have a tendency to be happy, and I try to be happy and treat people right, but it's always something that come my way that upset me. And I in that moment I forget, well, I'm a Christian. Then they make me go off and do stuff that I don't like. And I want to work on that. I don't like that people get to me and make me go the other way, which I shouldn't go. I want to stay, as a Christian, be humble. And I have a fight with that,
Sure.
It bothers me,
Sure. So when you say I get upset by people, is it anything in particular? Is it any particular person? And I don't want you to name their name, but
it is. It's like an incident. I work with my daughter's boyfriend. And so on the job, just typical, I'm old, so I watch stuff. It's this girl that he's always in her face, and you can tell that he liked the girl. So my daughter's pregnant, and I said, well, that's not my business, because my kid always tell me mind my business, so that's what I do, and I don't want to hurt my daughter. So I didn't say nothing about it. So the other day, he took me to the store to get my medicine, he come up with saying, yeah, people in the room say you watching me, I don't need you watching me, you need to mind your business, and this and that. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, I don't go back and tell you what you did, because if I go back and tell her, you'll be out, because I know she would kick him out. So he went on and said, well, you need to mind your business, and I don't like that girl, and he always called the girl that he's in her face, 24/7, behind her like a licky dog. She's ugly. I said, no, you don't think she's ugly, So he got into it and said, yeah, I don't like that girl, you always like this, but I know he do. And I said, well, that's not my place. But I told him, I said, and he made me say something I didn't want to say because he had been in the family so long, but he hit that nerve. I say, look, you in this family, but you really not a part of it. So I'm going to need you not to talk to me like that, And I didn't want to go there with him, When he had me so upset that day, I had to call my brother. And my brother told me, he said, ain't you a Christian? You should have just backed down and left that alone. And I felt bad that I couldn't back down, leave it alone, because he pushed me there. And I said, well, okay. So when I went over to her house, I went in there and he held my foot and I started to cry, and I don't like crying, you know. And I said, don't you say nothing to me, just take me to work so she can speak to me. And I went out and slammed the door. And so, and then I thought, like my brother said, every woman knows their man. She knows this guy. She knows, you know. But it just made me mad. I was thinking all kind of stuff because he made me go there. I said, yeah, I ought to tell the people, go out to the car, he out there smoking weed, you know, just think of the dirty stuff they do to him. And then I calmed down and I said, no, I ain't gonna do that. I said, because everything done in the dark gonna come to the light. So, you know, but he really pushed me. He had me so upset. I knew my blood pressure shot up.
So let's talk about that. So from what let me make sure I have it correct. You're working with him,
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing him give attention to another woman.
Yeah, and
you're
I think
seeing,
it's disrespect to me.
and you're feeling what emotions?
I'm feeling like, well, he disrespected me. He know he.
That's a thought. What is
Yeah.
the emotion? Is it anger? Is it hurt?
It's mostly anger and hurt because
Okay.
she's good to him, and I don't think he should do it like that. You know, he's driving her car, almost everything is hers, and he just, he shouldn't do that. You know.
Right. So what you do as a result of that is you separate from him, right? So I want to just tell you a story, and then we'll come back more directly to what you're telling me. I have a client that I've had for like 7 years, and it's a company that has about 25 people in it. And the 3 owners have been there since the beginning. They actually brought in a 4th owner like 3 years ago. And so I'm minimally involved with them, but I come in every once in a while and I do things with them. So one day, the main owner called me and he said, oh my gosh, 2 of the other owners who are husband and wife, they sold their part of the business to the 4th person who's only been there 3 years. And none of them even told us that this was underway. Like it was a done deal when they came to us and told us. And he was so hurt because they pride themselves on having trusting relationships where there's a lot of openness and disclosure and everything. And he said, so whenever there's a relationship rift, we always ask, what number would you give that relationship? So, for example, if you were with, is he like your son-in-law?
Not really. He's a couple. They just stay
Okay, so I'm just going to call the man. I'm going to say the man. So if you were to look at the relationship you have with that man, on a scale, if 10 was we have no unresolved problems, and 0 was it's in the toilet, what number would you give the relationship?
I have to say 10 because I've always looked at him as just one of my kids.
You're not really being honest to say it's at a 10 because you have unresolved issues with him.
Yeah, I guess so.
So is it crisis, like it's a 3, or is it bad, but it's more like a 6? Like if you had to kind of consider it from the place of how many issues you have unresolved, what number would you give that relationship?
Probably a 3.
A 3. So it's kind of in the crisis zone, right? Okay. So when this man called me, he said, I have a 0 with all of them. The husband, the wife, and the third. None of them were open, none of them were, and it's major shift, right? And he said, will you come in and help us? Well, one of the things I know about that is he wouldn't have asked for help from me because I'm going to have him looking at who do you want to be now? So they were all, the other 2 owners were very angry, very hurt, and I had a meeting with them, and I said, one of them said, it doesn't really matter how we treat the husband and wife because they're going to be gone in 90 days. And I said, it does matter how you treat them because how you treat them now and how you release them is going to be an effect on you, one way or the other, and it all goes toward who do you want to be. And I said, what is your purpose? And their purpose is to expand potential, to accentuate the positive, and I forget the third thing. I think it's lifelong learning. That's what they want to cause in the world. And so I asked him, I said, when they told you that that they had sold the business to this person and they were all in the room, what did you do? And he said, right away I tried to take the high road. So I congratulated them and I hugged them. And I said, I love it that you wanted to take the high road, but the high road doesn't necessarily look like that. It doesn't look hateful, but it doesn't look fake and inauthentic. And I said, what if you had said instead, wow, I'm taken off guard, I'm really shocked, and I don't even know what I want to say right now. Can you see how that's not hateful, and it's not pretending everything is wonderful? And one of the men that was in the room was a leader but not an owner, and he said, that's exactly what I said. And then they talked about how do we handle the rest of our team, because we don't want to upset our team and we don't want to discourage them. And I said, be real with them. You want to uplift them, but be real with them, because it's like kids in a divorce. They know the parents aren't getting along. So if you pretend like everything's okay, it's going to be harder on them. So I'm thinking about this for you with this man, because when he comes up to you and he says to you, get out of my business, it's none of your business, right? What if you could have, instead of choosing to separate yourself and be mad, because and I want you to really look at your words. He made me do this. He made me see this. He made me feel this. That's the place at which you get to decide in the future, do I want to blame another person for what I'm feeling and what I'm doing, or do I want to say, what is it that I want? And what is it that I want to say? Because what if instead it could have been something like this. I am kind of in your business. I don't want to be. I'm trying not to be. I'm just scared. I'm scared for you. I'm scared for my daughter. I'm scared for your child. I don't know what to do with what I'm feeling. Now, he might have gotten worse. He might have said, well, too bad. That's your problem, you know? And you could say, and this is where you would be more true to yourself. I know that is my problem. And it's coming from a place where I love you. And I love my daughter, and I want the best for you, and I don't know how to help. Now, even though you might not want my help, that's what I feel, is I want to make a difference so that you guys have the best chance. Now, do you see how, even if he would have rejected that, you would have felt honest, you would have felt open and loving, because you would have been practicing behaviors that are trustworthy, right? But what you did instead was like, you're being mean to me, I'm going to be mean back. Which is what we do because we don't know how to do that other thing, right? So, so part of it is asking yourself, who do I want to be? And it's, yes, it's Christian, but what does Christian mean to you in that moment?
I don't want to get in his business. I try not to get in my kid's business, but like you say, like I told him, that's my daughter, you know. Well,
the fact of it is you are in their business, and it's understandable that you would be, right?
But I don't say nothing to him. I just look, you know, I don't.
But you say a whole lot in your gaze and in your intention. Like, what? I mean, do you realize that what you do intimidates him? Because he wouldn't be coming up to you going, "Get out of my business," right?
No, he just brought it up. He said that I went back and told him.
Either way, it's a felt experience when we can't stand someone or we're upset with someone. It's a felt experience. That's why I'm saying to you, it would be more helpful for you to say, I am struggling with judging you. I don't want to judge you, and I think I'm judging you because I'm so afraid. Because do you see how that's really what is under the judgment? I'm afraid. I'm afraid you're going to make bad choices, and it's going to hurt you, and it's going to hurt her, and it's going to hurt your future child.
Well, I'm really afraid, to be honest. I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt him because that's my child. And be honest, just be honest, you know. He's been in the family a long time. I mean, we have helped him. In fact, my husband.
So let's play that out. Let's play that out. It becomes more hateful. It becomes more hurtful. What will happen then?
I don't know. I just work. He laughed and he said, and I tried to protect him.
Okay, I don't want you to tell too much of the story because it'll just justify in your mind hurting him. My question is, let's say you do hurt him. What happens next?
My daughter gonna be mad at me.
Right. So will it change anything for the positive? It won't help anybody, right? In fact, you might even dig in deeper, right?
Yeah.
So hurting someone is understandable when you're upset, but you need an outlet for that upset that is more like, I notice I am judging you. And I am, while I'm trying to stay out of your business, my head is in your business. Do you see how there's humility in that?
Well, I decided, I come to the conclusion, being say, I'm just gonna pray for him and pray that God help me to not worry about what he do or don't see him do.
Guess
Because
what?
I have to work
This
with him.
conversation
I
is-
wanna be comfortable.
This conversation is part of the answer to that prayer.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna pray for him and keep it moving, you know.
Well,
ain't gonna let him
You
get me down.
can do that, and that is absolutely gonna help you stay in love.
Yeah.
But
I
you
do
also have a practical relationship with him where you're seeing him
Yeah.
and he's interacting with you. And you can pray for him all day long, but if you don't know how to not separate from him, you will separate from him. And that will be the way that you are who you are not intended to be.
I can separate from him. I can do that. Anything that I put my mind to, I can do it. You know, he can work in that room and I can act like he ain't even there because that's me. That's who I am. You know,
So-
since I know how he feels, then I just avoid it, you know.
So I'm gonna be him, and I'm gonna do what he did to you, and I wanna see a new response if you're willing to put one on. So, you know what, you're always in my business. I think you just need to stay out of my business. You know, what I feel and what I do at work has nothing to do with you. I'm not cheating on your daughter.
That's what he said.
What do you say?
That's what he told me.
Yeah, so what will you say to me
Oh,
right
what
now?
I say? I'm gonna say, well, if that's what you say, I believe you. Okay, that's good. Go ahead, have a great day. Just have a good day. Do you?
Okay, you're still separated from him.
Okay.
How do you do it in a way that is not separating from the truth? Because you saying have a good day and all that is like that guy, his company being sold and him going and hugging and saying congratulations. Can you see how that is not authentic? So how would you say something from love that is authentic? Can you guys see what I'm saying here?
Yes.
Go ahead, David.
I was gonna say, what happens when the relationship escalates, as it intensifies? Right now, you're dealing with it, and yeah, we're not being honest and true. But what happens when now he comes home to the daughter and says, you know what, let's get married, or let's take it to the next level?
Okay, so Damon, I want you to see something because it's a great question. She's already escalating it.
Right.
Almost, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's almost a sense of disdain, disgust, and even hatred of him.
Oh,
Well, whatever. I mean, he feels it as a negative, right?
Right,
She's
absolutely.
already escalating it, which is understandable. That's a human reaction. But if you're a godly person, you want to respond, not react, right?
Yeah, I want to find another.
So
And the further it goes, then it's gonna be harder for her to be fake.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
she's
I
already
can't be
she's
fake.
already not being
No, I
fake.
don't want to be
She's
fake.
actually communicating her disgust.
Uh-huh.
That's why he's coming to her and saying, "Stay out of my business," and you know, blah blah blah, because he feels her disdain and her disgust, even if it's a look or a tenseness in her body, because otherwise he wouldn't be reacting back
In the nonverbal.
in the nonverbal. So do you see how it's like those businessmen saying, well, we don't have to worry about these people, they're going to be gone in 90 days. Yes, you do, because who you are every day and every
Wow.
moment is who you are. What were you thinking?
But I didn't say
That's
nothing to
true.
him.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
What's
I
that?
felt like he was feeling guilty of some type of way because
You know
I
what?
never
That's what we call
Never
being in
opposed.
that's what we call being in his yard. You just want to manage your yard. Your yard is not worrying about his motives or his whatever. It's saying, who do I want to be right in this moment? Does this make sense, you guys?
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy because all that's human in the world would say vengeance, right? All that's human in the world would say it's okay to be disgusted and disdainful. And it's okay to separate. Now, I'm not saying you should be his best friend. I'm not saying you should go out of your way to try to be nice, you know, in other ways. But when the moment is there, be as honest as you can and go to the deeper reasons that are not the disdain and disgust. The deeper reasons are, you've been in my life a long time. I care about you. I want you guys to have a happy life, and I'm really scared that it won't work out in the long run because of what it seems to me could be happening.
Do you put on there, I don't think it, What did you just say? It doesn't seem that it's gonna work out in the long
I'm
run.
scared. I'm scared it might not work out.
Scared of me, okay.
Because you know, like she doesn't know if it'll work out or not.
Right,
He might
absolutely.
smoke pot. She might be fine with that. He might have these little whatevers with other women, and she might be like, yeah, but he's not sleeping with them. I'm okay. You know, like we don't know whether they're going to have a happy relationship. But you're scared that they won't, and you're scared that because you're scared of that, you feel like I should do something.
I'm scared for my daughter because
Yes.
my daughter is pregnant and she's having problems, you know, blood pressure and stuff. I know how she get upset, so I'm most fearful for her. But during the situation, I feel bad from him at the same time because I know already she really not happy with him as it is. So it
Right.
don't take much for her to hear something, he's gone.
Right.
And so I'm feeling kind of scared for him too because I know my daughter. She's gonna
Exactly.
kick him to the curb. And
So-
he has nowhere to go.
Exactly.
You know?
So can you see how much care and how much love and how much fear you have, which is understandable.
Yeah.
What we don't do is we don't, like you even said, I don't like crying. What if your calling right now is to lean into your humanity and be able to say, because you're probably more comfortable being angry with him than
No,
being,
I'm not comfortable with it. I don't
Okay.
like being angry with nobody.
well, you might not be, but it's worse in your mind to cry, right?
Like when he did, I'm not mad at him anymore, but I think he feels some type of way because when I went in there and I said, well, you need to come fix the washer, he still got attitude. I'm over it. You know, I'm done. I asked God forgive me and I moved on. But
Okay,
it's just,
so
you
when
know,
we say we've moved on, you still have a relationship with him in that moment,
yeah, I still
and you
love him.
can't move on when the other person is also having an experience with you.
I don't know what else I could say to him because, you know, sometimes people get in their way and they don't want to listen. Like I say, I won't say nothing, you know, I'm sorry he feel like I'm going back telling, because that's not the point, because he will be gone. But for him to say that, you know, what I want him to do might be stupid. I want him to respect that I'm there and I'm this girl's mother.
Okay.
And don't do stuff in my face.
Okay, so here's the thing. You're in his yard by wanting him to change his behavior. What you want to be able to say to him is, when I observe your behavior, it just brings up my fear, and then I start judging you. And I know that's not fair to you, and I don't like being that person. Now, do you see how that's being open in a way that's not attacking him?
Yeah.
And it's being connected and it's keeping your heart open, which is all we're required to do. Doesn't mean you're supposed to change him. In fact, any thought that you should be the one to influence his behavior change is actually in your way. Because nobody likes to feel fixed and converted and healed and changed by someone else. Even if you're right, he's going to be like, no, I won't, you can't make me.
Yeah, true.
Right? So if you want to truly be influential and be the person you want to be, you want to stay connected in that moment. And you want to tell the truth. Because where you just went a minute ago was, well, I'm all past it. Too bad he still has a problem. Now, can you really be all past it when you love someone and they're still having a problem with you?
No, I wish he wouldn't because it's uncomfortable. Because
That's
my
right.
daughter, and I'm gonna go to her house, and you know, he's there, so I'm trying to make amends.
Here's
and get
the
along with
beautiful
him.
part about it, Mimi. Your God loves you so much. He keeps giving you this opportunity to learn love deeper, and it happens to be wrapped in that
Wow,
package
that's
of
so
that
good.
man.
Wow.
That is so good.
Deeper then. Right, I can do that.
So just don't go into that place of hardness. The part of you that would say, well, I'm past it and I'll just pray for him, that is the hard place, right? Go to the soft place in you that says, I don't know what to do. I feel a little bit of frustration from you, and I know I did something to cause that because I've been judging the heck out of you.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep doing it. I'm just so afraid. Like, can you see, how can somebody get mad at you over that? Like, maybe they might temporarily, but inside they're going to be like, wow, she's just said she loves me and she's scared for me and she's judging me and she doesn't like it.
You got another person. It's easy for me to do what you're saying. I can do that. But he's gonna come up with something smart because that's just the type of person he is. he don't know how to accept love. Because I don't think he had that growing up in his family.
It's possible,
which makes him
it's
the way he
possible,
is.
and none of that's your business.
So I can tell him that, but he'll come out with, I don't need
But
this.
see, you're still saying I could tell him that, but he's not gonna change, because your main motive is to get him to change. Stop it with that. Because that motive to get him to change is presumptuous and it's arrogant.
No, he's not gonna change, but he's
Hold
gonna
on,
come
hold on,
off the
hold
time
on,
they're
hold
gonna
on,
go
baby. I
in.
just want you to slow down a little bit. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard what you said.
What is presumptuous and arrogant about it?
I guess the way I come off about it.
No, I mean, what if it's just arrogant that we think it's our job to fix other people?
I don't wanna fix them.
Well-
I truly get that, I don't wanna fix them.
Well,
Because
there's
I
a part
can't
of you
fix
that
something that's
does.
already, his mama just raised him, and so that's the way he is.
How do I know that you do want to fix him?
I don't wanna fix him, I guess for me, I just want him to show me some respect. you
Right,
know?
which is you wanting him to change,
No, I just want him to acknowledge I'm in that room.
which means you want him to change.
you know.
So that's what we do. I'm just telling you, that's what we do. We make it our business to evaluate and analyze and try to fix and change and convert other people. That's what we do, unless we choose out of it. Nobody likes to feel like somebody in the room is looking at them like, I gotta tweak you. Like, and then don't you just feel pissed off even if you're right?
Right.
So
Sure.
that's where your work is. Your work is to stop assuming that he needs to be any different for you to be loving and true.
No, that's good.
Did Jesus do that? Did Jesus
No, he
see
didn't.
people that were screwed up and say, well, I can't love you because you're too screwed up?
Right.
No, I'm not saying I don't love him, I still love him.
No, but he didn't even say, let me fix you.
No, I don't
So
want to
true.
fix him. That's all I can say, I don't want to fix him. You know, he is what he is, I accept him for what he is.
Except for where you
Whether
don't.
good or bad. I don't know.
Can you guys see this? And I'm not saying it just to be like
Right.
scolding her or
Right.
something. Go ahead,
Right.
David.
I think that what you're bringing to the surface for us is we don't see where we're in judgment. It's a blind spot in us because we see the fault in your yard. And what's happening in your yard is so big that we don't see that it's us moving into self-righteousness and judgment
separation.
and separation and arrogance. Because, and you said it a moment ago, because maybe you're right. And so because we think we're right, then, okay, it's right that if he was cheating, it's right that he shouldn't be cheating. So because of that, I feel entitled to be in that place, even if I'm not verbalizing it, but I'm doing all the nonverbal and the tension and the stuff like
Sure.
that. It's because I'm right and you know I'm right. And so because I'm right and you know I'm right, you know you need to change is implied.
Yes. And
It's
that's why I
implied.
bring it back to
She's saying it.
And that's why I bring it back to Jesus. Jesus saw Ezekiel or Ezekiel or whatever his name was, the tax collector. He didn't say, you needed,
Matthias.
no, it was a different one.
No, the one that's in the tree?
Yeah, the one that's in the
Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus.
Uh-huh.
He didn't say, you better get your act together.
Right.
He said, come on down and come have dinner with me.
Right.
So the God that you love, that is your brother, is your savior, is the God that says, you don't have to change anything for me to love you. Look at her face.
I'm
Her
lost.
face
Because
so
what
good.
he said, he does, that's okay, I get it. He does not have to change anything for me to love him. I'm gonna love him regardless. But his act, God wants you to be respectable. He's a respectable guy. It's
He does.
about respect,
Jesus didn't require any of that.
you know.
Jesus didn't require any of that. So what you're really saying is, I love him, but I don't
But
like
what
him.
God said, if you have something against your neighbor, to go tell your neighbor, don't you think? You
Not
should go-
tell them from the place of you need to be fixed and converted and
No, I'm-
changed,
You
but from
can
the
say I'm
place.
trying to fix him. I'm not trying to fix him.
Okay.
I accept him a long time ago. He's been in his family for years. I accept him for what he is. I know what he is. I feel for him because, like I say, he don't know. And the way he was brought up, I have all that sympathy for him and everything. It just, I guess we don't work it good together. When I'm saying
So,
do this.
so here's the thing I think is important about what you said. You said, Jesus said, if you have a problem with your brother, you go to him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm suggesting you do. I'm just saying, go to him without the self-righteousness.
But he came to me. I was gonna
It
keep
doesn't
my mouth
matter, you
closed.
both have issues with each other.
He came to me. I just said, take and give my.
Can you guys see the resist, like, I'm not saying you're bad for resisting me, but you're resisting the responsibility of that. Because it looks like, well, I would have gone to him, but he came to me with all this attitude,
No,
right?
I wouldn't never went to him. I wouldn't went to him. I wouldn't went to him.
But you guys are already so connected, the reason he came to you is because you guys have so much tension between
I
you.
think he came to me because he think that I told her something. And
Right,
what I told her was really not nothing to do with him and the girl. It was about him going out. We wear blues. And when you wear blue and this, we mess with medication. We do pills. He is not supposed to go out and take the trash by himself. And so the girl that he's all the way up under, I done told him to stop taking that trash out there. And so I told my daughter that. I said, because I don't want him to get fired. He almost got fired once. So I said, okay, you should talk to him because he's not protected. And then I think that's why he think I'm telling her stuff. And he probably wondering, well, she told that, is she telling about other stuff?
Yeah.
So he messed up. But I'm not
so
that
here's,
person.
here's a bit of a news flash. You are in both yards, and you're doing it in a way that is toxic.
So I shouldn't have told her to tell him not
Ooh.
to.
Yeah,
No, just let him take it out and get fired. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying
I'm
that
confused.
we talk about people behind their back because we're angry and righteous about their behavior.
No, he came in and I told him.
No, I'm saying when you went to your daughter and told on him that he was doing whatever he was doing.
I said talk to him because I was fearful then that he would lose his job.
Yeah, but here's the thing I want you to see. You went and told her. You didn't go to him and talk to him.
I told him. First I told him. When he came back into the room, I said, Andre, you're not supposed to take the trash out. He said, oh, I do it anyway. They don't know what they're talking about. He's hard-headed. He thinks he knows everything and he knows nothing. Really. That person.
So here's, go ahead, David, go ahead.
Ooh, I went on a Harshack. Ooh.
You can come over here so I can see you when you're in front.
Why, if you told him, did you go to her?
Yes.
Because he wasn't listening.
So when you know what you wanted her to do,
To stop him.
to change him.
Yeah.
So because you didn't directly change him, you said I'll go to her and make her change him.
Look, it is what it is. The girl he needs to have a job to help my daughter.
Right.
My daughter gonna kick him out. So
So
I'm
you-
saving him.
So
Really. Because I know
maybe,
my daughter.
here's the thing. If you weren't saving everyone else, what is going on in your life that you're not looking at? Because all this being in everybody else's yard is an avoidance of something. And I don't even know if you know what it is, and I'm not saying you should
Maybe
answer
I'm
that.
in the job. Maybe I should just sit back and say,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Or
I'll
what
try
if you, what if you just go in and go, wow, I notice I'm bothered. I notice I'm troubled. I notice that I'm worried. And just leave it at that.
I even thought about to at work just tell me, don't put me in the room with him. So I feel like, I can't sit up here and lie. Then I'll be fake. Just the further he stay away from me, I'm cool. Just stay out of my sight with what you do.
Okay,
That's
even,
me.
even that is a rejection of a person.
Yeah, I'm sorry. God help to fix it because that's the way I feel right now.
What are you guys thinking about all this?
Yeah.
For yourselves, not for her, for yourselves. What are you thinking about this?
It makes me more aware of places where I'm subconsciously trying to fix people and things and situations. I recognize that, and I love the part where you said I might be right, because usually I am. And when I'm looking at it that way, I feel like, okay, because I'm right, I feel like I'm helping.
Yes.
And my intention consciously is to help, but what I don't realize is that really I'm trying to fix them and convert them and change them and make them what I want them to be, rather than be to deal with me. And I love what you just asked her. If I wasn't so focused on what's going on with all of them, what am I missing in my own life?
Right.
What am I avoiding possibly
Right.
in my own life that I don't want to deal with in myself, so it's easier for me to deal with you.
Exactly. That's usually what's going on. And I also wanted to ask you guys, when she says, well, I just want to ask that he not even be in the same room with me, what is the message that is being sent by that choice?
Don't want to be around you.
Which
Not-
is
not love.
not
It's
love.
separation.
It's rejection,
Yeah.
right? Chances are he's in a position, regardless of whether it's, it is or not, the fact that you want to reject him is probably his goal. Because whenever we are in a conflict with somebody of any kind, we have a fearful goal or a loving goal. We can't have both.
Okay.
And the fearful goal might be, I'm in pain. The way that I'm getting over my pain is flirting with some other woman or smoking pot or whatever. But deep down inside, I reject myself. So guess what? I can get you to reject me too. That is going on more than we know.
Ooh.
And so when we play into someone else's fearful beliefs, we are contributing to hell on earth, right? When Jesus saw people that were doing bad things, what he did was he saw past it. When
That is
we're
so good.
in righteousness, we can't, the bad kind of righteousness, we're not seeing past the person's sins. We're seeing the sins and we're saying, I gotta fix you, right? And what we're really saying as soon as we do that is, now I gotta make myself sinful and I gotta be against myself too, which is gonna just cause more of a separation from God.
How so against myself?
So, for example, if I'll tell the train story because that's a good example of it's called mistaken goals and misbehavior. Whenever anybody's in misbehavior, there's 5 different patterns they could be in, and those patterns come from fear. So if I'm a person that's in the goal of revenge, where I'm in pain, I'm in a pattern. And so let me tell you a story that kind of reflects that pattern. There was a train car in Japan, and it was filled with all these people. And there was an American on there because he was there to learn this martial art. And what was interesting about the martial art, as a little aside, is that it's a martial art that when you're being attacked, you don't flee and you don't fight. You move toward the attacker, which is very counterintuitive, but it's what Jesus did,
Yeah,
right?
true.
You move toward the attacker and you blend with them. And you position your body for a moment so that you can see through their eyes. And then if you have to throw them or whatever, it comes from a totally different intention than if you're trying to defeat them or attack them.
Okay.
So here he is in Japan learning this from these spiritual teachers that are, because it's the highest form of martial arts spiritually. And onto the train car comes this very drunk, very grimy laborer who's really aggressive and acting really poorly. And people are getting upset with him. There are people that are kind of moving to the back of the train, and there are people that are like, hey, buddy, what's your problem? And they're getting up in his face, right? And this man, Terry Dobson, who's from the United States, he realizes force and win-lose and all of those things are against his whole philosophy of, creating peace in the world, which is what his martial art teaches him, which is what your Christianity teaches you. So he stands up with the intention of moving toward the attacker. But before he can do anything other than stand up, the guy says to him, you foreigner, you're the cause of all my problems, which is what's happening in our country right now, right? You foreigner. Mm-hmm. And before Terry can do anything, this little old man on the train says, hey, what you been drinking? And he's all friendly and everything. And the guy whips around and he goes, Saki, what's it to you anyway? He's like real hateful, And the guy goes, Saki? I love Saki. My wife and I, we heat up a little pot of sake every morning and we take it out in our garden. And the whole time he's walking over to this guy.
Okay.
And he says, we have these persimmon trees in our garden. Do you like persimmon trees? And the guy goes, yeah, I like persimmon trees. But he's kind of looking at him by now going like, do I know you? And he says, I bet you have a great wife too. And as he says this, the man's face just falls and he starts to cry and he said, my wife died a month ago and I started drinking and today I lost my job. And by then the old man is right next to him and he says, oh my goodness, you need to open up about this. You need to tell me about this. Why don't we go back to the back of the train? And so they go back to the back of the train, and at the very end, Terry is leaving the train, and he looks back and he sees this labor draped upon the lap of the old man, and he's sobbing. And he says, wow, that was emotionally brilliant, because he's telling this story to Daniel Goleman, who wrote the book Emotional Intelligence. Now, in our world, what that means is that that man came onto the train filled with pain, possibly, and this is just me analyzing, possibly he was raised in a family where boys don't cry, possibly he saw his father and his brothers, handle pain by just going out and getting drunk, right? Because that's what our world, right? Our world is men don't cry, get over yourself and all that coldness. So there's a lot of people that go into pain and they internalize that pain as shame. And so in that shame, he was rejecting himself in that pain. He was trying to obliterate that pain.
Okay.
So that self-rejection was also manipulating people to reject him also. He's unconscious of it. He doesn't know he's trying to get people to reject him, but look how much rejection he was getting. People were going away from him to the back of the train. People were wanting to get mean to him. The only person that did not, there were two people on that train that did not reject him. One was Terry Dobson, who was holding that energy, even though he wasn't the one to do the move. The old man held the energy of, he had to know on some level, this person is in pain, this person is trying to get us all to reject him, and he refused to. Isn't that Christ-like?
Yeah.
Right? So what we have to do when we're facing somebody that's in misbehavior, which this man is in misbehavior, is not meet it with your own misbehavior, which you have been, not to scold you. So when the more you understand that when a person is coming from fear and limiting thought, you can't hold that fear and limiting thought with them, because now you take them down too. And when you do that to that person, you do it to yourself. So any part of you that rejects his display, you're rejecting the part of you that would do that as well. And when we're rejecting it, we're reinforcing that we're shameful. That's why it's so important not to give punishment to other people, because we are punishing and reinforcing our own flawed behavior. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So even if only out of self-interest, you learn how to do it differently, because you're like stabbing yourself the same time you're stabbing the other person. Go ahead.
I have an online question when you asked about what are some of the things we don't like about our lives. I don't like how I let people use me.
Okay.
And that's all they gave me. I don't like
Yeah, that's fine. I don't like how I let people use me. So that's sometimes, and I don't know without talking to this person, sometimes that is a not trusting ourselves to know how to show up for ourselves. So like even Mamie, by saying, I'll just separate from this man, is letting him use her still. Do you see that? Like even if you see it. So explain it so that he can understand it.
It's letting him continue to use her by her separated, because she's not dealing with it.
Right, she's still
not
in reaction.
Right, she's not coming to him and dealing with it. So by her separating herself, his actions have not been confronted. Like you used the scripture, go to your neighbor. Ain't nobody came to him and said, you offended me.
No,
he's not being held accountable for anything.
No. So it's not holding him accountable, and it's not telling him how bad he is and how much he's hurting her. That's not what it means to take care of ourselves.
Right.
What I'm saying is that he's using her because she's letting him use her.
Right.
She's letting him define who she's going to be. Oh, I'm going to be a person that you're sort of like the hold on. You're sort of like the people on the train that wanted to just get away and go to the back of the train. Can you see how we're always in a choice of opportunity? You know how people say, I don't know if I can trust her. Like I got to wait and see if she's trustworthy. Right. The real truth of it is am I trustworthy to know how to be in every situation? That's the real confronting. It's not confronting anyone else. It's confronting ourselves to go, what will I do if that person seems to be using me? How do I show up for myself and not against them?
Right.
That is when you finally you will finally stop feeling used.
Okay.
When you're able to do that.
You hit the target when you say define. That's a word I tell everybody. I let nobody define who I am. Never that. Because I can go in that room, I might say I want something, but I know what I can do. God gives me the strength to do what I have to do. I can go in there and talk with him, I will get along with him. I'm not a person that let nobody define me. I don't like that.
So you're right that God has given you a lot of answers of what to do.
I am.
Are you learning anything new this morning that you didn't
Yeah, I'm
know?
learning that I'm going in that room and I'm gonna treat him the way I always treat him. Like, you know, Jay, how you doing? Okay, we gonna talk. I don't mind my business. I can talk to the girl. Okay, he can talk to her. But I'm gonna treat him the same. You know, I'm gonna treat him the same. I'm gonna love him the same. I'm gonna be the same with him because nobody defines who I am. Nobody. Nobody.
Okay, so it's a moment by moment thing, you guys. So the person who said, I don't like feeling used, is a person that has to grow in learning how to be for themselves without being against someone else. That's the real opportunity. So when you say, I gotta hold somebody accountable, I gotta confront them, that is not taking care of yourself. That's in someone's yard. I would encourage you guys to never use the phrase holding someone accountable. Because the reality is people only hold themselves accountable. What you can do is, by her saying, I notice I've been judging you, I notice that I'm scared, I know that's my problem, I'm sorry. I'm really truly sorry. Not like I'm sorry, but like I'm really truly sorry because I'm so arrogant, I just keep thinking I need to change you. Like if she were to really be able to say that to him, he has a higher likelihood of choosing his own accountability.
Well, I can say to him.
Hold on a second. I just want to make this point. This isn't even about just that. Do you see how when we step into our responsibility, it almost forces the hand of others to take accountability. But as soon as I say, I got to hold you accountable, now somebody's going to run out of their yard and you're going to be busy in their yard, you've run out of your yard. That's how big it is to have that mentality.
So what I can do, I can go to him and say, well, I'm sorry that you feel like I'm being in your business. I will do that.
Okay,
I will
so
say, I'm not in your business. I love you,
maybe I would say to
I'm
you,
not in your
do
business.
not use the words, I'm sorry you feel that way.
That's how he feels.
No, but that's still saying, I'm sorry you feel that way, but you're wrong. That's what our words mean when we say, I'm sorry that you feel that way. What is more true is to say, I'm sorry that I've been doing this to you. Look at it's like she ate a horrible lemon.
But you know, and that's so good. And I wanted to say to
Somebody
you,
help me.
but let me say to you, I remember the time when Pastor Cannon did the sermon on forgiveness, and there was somebody that did something to me, and I was angry. But what I had to do was, even though they did it to me, when I finally went to apologize, I said to them, I'm sorry for how I felt. And I want to, even though they did whatever they did to me, I had to go and say, I'm sorry for how I felt, because I really was angry at them for what they did to me.
So Patricia, that's a great first step. But you also want to say, I'm sorry for what I felt and what I did with my feelings.
I did do that.
Good.
I did do that because I made a phone call because I was hurt. And I did say exactly that, basically that. But before even doing that, it was like, I thought, I was the victim of the hurt that you did to me. And it was like, my thought was before I went, was why should I apologize? You did the hurting.
Right.
But I felt so much better after I apologized for how I felt and what I did.
Yes. That's because you were stepping into who do I want to be? Right? You were stepping into who do I want to be, even if somebody has done something to me that hurt me.
Right.
Who do I want to be? And we have this idea that turning the other cheek means just walking away and not saying anything. Turning the other cheek means let me show you me because I don't want to disconnect from you. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that you have to pretend anything. I love what you're saying because you felt the cleanness of that.
Well,
You felt the healing. Yes. Yes. And that's why so the reality is you might have been victimized. Like you might be being victimized from a situation. But all that is God saying, let me deliver an opportunity for you to remember who you are even when something bad happens to you.
Right.
Yes?
That's what my purpose is.
So the question was what she said, how do
She said, I'm tired of feeling used by other
I don't
people.
like how, I don't like that I
how-
let people use me.
Okay, my question is, how do I show up for myself if I feel abused?
Can you see how I was teaching her that? Because I said to her, when she sees, he comes in her face because of her behavior and says, stay out of my business, it's not your business, I'm not cheating on her, or whatever he says, right? In that moment, can you see how it would have been a choice for herself to say, you know what, I have been judging you, and I'm sure that's why you're upset with me, and I'm aware in this moment that I'm scared for you. Like, do you see just that authenticity?
The authenticity.
That's showing up for you. And we think it's...
Okay, so you haven't heard to respond off of what he is saying. Like he's saying, stay out of my business, and so you take the responsibility
Yes.
to say.
Talk about accountability. Oh,
Right.
I must have done something to offend you, and I'm not going to
Right.
act like I didn't. I'm going to look at
Apparently,
what I did.
because you came to me.
Yes,
so
because you can.
apparently, I did something.
And if I go even a second inside me, I can see I've been disdainful and disgusted with you. Right now, we think that's being mean. That's being loving because you're owning your own. I'm off the mark.
Okay, so you're saying that after he came to her with the disgust, she would say, make a response off of his emotions.
It's not even off of him. It's what is going on inside of me.
Right.
That's like, so if you're not
Yeah.
rejecting your own reaction,
Right.
you can go under the reaction. Like her first reaction is disgust and disdain with him because she's
Right.
judging him. But if she went underneath it,
Right.
she would feel, I just care about them and I don't want to feel separated from them and I don't want them to hurt each other. Can you feel that that's underneath it?
Yeah, so,
No, go ahead, wait.
okay.
So not leaving yourself means worrying more about who do I show up to be in every moment. Right? It's not, and there's no prescription for how to do that. It means in every moment you keep checking back in. What is the most loving, most trustworthy part of me going to say right now?
Now is this is not a reaction, so it can be voluntarily.
It's a response.
So
If you're coming from a place of I'm not reacting to you, I'm
saying like
responding.
no one wants to come up to me, but I take the initiative to go to them.
Mhm.
Can that is that a yay?
Yeah, that's okay as long as you're coming with an intention that is not about trying to make someone wrong and not trying to fix someone.
So what should the intention be?
The intention is to show up being open and honest and trustworthy. I'm going to give you a simple example in my own life. I was in a dating relationship a number of years ago, and this man had planned this week-long trip for us in Puerto Rico, and it was a whole week, and I was super excited about it. And he had planned it because he was out of work, but he had miles built up and airline tickets and all that. And we go out to dinner, and he goes, "Oh, guess what? I got a job today, and they want me to start Monday." Well, Monday was right in the middle of our vacation. And I said, "Well, did you tell them we have a vacation, vacation plan?" And he said, "Well, no." And I was hurt, and I felt disappointed, and I felt angry. And I sat there, and I didn't say anything because I was processing what I was feeling. And he goes, "What's wrong?" And I go, "I think I'm judging you right now. Because I would have been happier if you had said you tried. Like it's understandable that you don't want to lose this opportunity, but you didn't even say, hey, look, I have this vacation planned. Is it okay if I start the next Monday? You didn't even fight for our vacation. And so I noticed that I'm judging you. That's all I said. And I said, I don't really even know if I want to go on the vacation because it's only going to be like mostly traveling back and forth. I just need to be with this. And I didn't use it to attack him. I didn't use it to convert him or change him or anything. I was just being disclosing to him with no agenda. And here's what he did. We had dinner. He went home. He called his best friend and said, I had this thing happen with Judy, and she told me that she was kind of judging me as cowardly because I didn't even try to fight for our vacation. And his friend goes, dude, she's right. Like, why did you do that? You know, so then, just to play it out, I kept praying, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? Because I literally didn't even want to go. It felt like it was almost a ruined vacation, but I didn't know how to keep my heart open and what to do. And all of a sudden it hit me, because I got a fortune cookie and it said, you will be going to a sunny location. And I thought, oh, that is so weird, after I prayed. And then I called him and I said, what do you think about we go there and you come back and go start your job and I stay there the week? And I could live with that. Now, ultimately, I didn't end up staying with the relationship because he was, in many ways, very a fearful person that would not stand up for himself or for us. So one of the ways I stood up for myself was to leave the relationship. And not in a hostile way, just leave it because I knew that it wasn't true to me to be with somebody who would not have any courage when it came to a simple thing like that. Because, you know, that's not going to put your job in jeopardy if you ask, right? So do you see how in that moment I didn't come down on him and how could you do this to me or any of that stuff? I just spoke the truth without even knowing the resolution. And I did not insist that he change anything. And that is how we take care of ourselves. And I'm not always good at it. Like, I'm still learning how to do that because it's easier to make it insulate myself and hide who I am and not deal with what I'm feeling and just focus on how you victimized me. That is the easy path. That's the path the world would even say, you go girl when you do that. But it's not the path that you guys have chosen.
But you say he didn't have a job, right?
He did not have a job.
But he planned a vacation. Maybe if he took the job, he could, how was he going to pay
Oh,
for
he
the
had
vacation?
plenty of money. The money was not the issue. He
That's
was
what
just
I
in,
wondering.
he was just in
He planned
fear.
vacation with no
And
money.
when he got offered a job, he didn't have the courage to even say, is it okay if I start a week late?
Right.
That's the part that I had trouble with. It wasn't about money or anything. It was the how do we stop letting people use us? He was letting someone use him, and I was growing into, I don't want people to use me, and I won't stand by for it, and I'm not going to be hateful. Do you see what I mean? Like, I stood for what I was feeling without being against him.
So going back to the first question, how do I keep people from using me? Is it possible because they want to be liked?
It's possible that we allow people to use us because we're afraid to show up, because we don't want liking us, we want acceptance from people, we want love from people, and we will sell our soul to have that loving and acceptance. I mean, Damon even told me he adopted a prayer that I say every day, please release me, God, from the need for love, approval, and acceptance from others, because what happens is we become transactional with other people when we're addicted to that. It's not that we don't need to be loved, approved, and accepted, but we don't look to other people to give us that. We trust God's going to bring the people into our lives that are going to give us that. But at the minute I'm in a relationship and I think I have to sell part of my soul to get your approval or you have your friendship or whatever, that's where I am letting people use me. Do you see? It's like the word trust. Trust is not about the other person. It's do I trust myself to show up where I'm considerate of you, but I'm also considerate of me. Do I trust myself for that? Most of us don't. Because we haven't really seen a whole lot of role modeling of people doing that. I mean, Jesus is a great role model for that, but sometimes we ignore those parts where he was never against somebody and he also didn't sell his soul, right?
Mm-hmm. So the very first question you asked was, do we love our life?
Yes.
So, I love my life. But I've gotten to the place, you know, I was thinking the other day about my aunt who complains so much. She's passed now, but she complains so much about everything. And I found out that I have come to the place where it irritated me when she complained.
Mm-hmm.
So, some of the things that she complained about, now I have. I can't do the things that I used to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm doing them slower.
Mm-hmm.
The things that I used to get disgusted with her about, I now have, you know, I can't. It takes me time to open a jar, I now have neuropathy. My body won't let me do some of the things, but Patricia's going to do it regardless. It might take some time to do it. So that part of my life now, I'm really disgusted with. Whatever I used to do, I'm still going to do it. I've made up my mind that I'm going to do it. So that part of my life, I really have a problem with.
Are you disgusted with the fact that you even have to slow down?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm still doing everything that I have always done.
Right.
I just don't like.
You don't like that it doesn't look the way it used to look.
Yeah.
So first of all, it's great that you know that I'm angry and upset and disappointed that I now have to live this way.
Yeah.
Even though I'm determined and committed to doing those behaviors,
Yeah.
I don't like it that it takes me longer, right? So the question is always, what is the opportunity in slowing it all down?
Say that again.
What's
What
the
is
opportunity? What's the opportunity to love your life more? Because really what you're going through in your life is similar to what a lot of people have felt during the pandemic. Like, I'm forced to slow down. I can't go to ball games, I can't go to hockey games, I can't go to sports or plays or movies or whatever. I hate it that I have to slow down. We're all being called to slow down. I know you have it in your physical form because of your aging, process. But what is the opportunity there for you?
To see.
To see what?
To see. The seeing is what I'm seeing right now is to when I sit down, I can see in my yard. I'm doing my yard, and it takes a whole lot of time with what I've got to do. But I'm sitting down instead of standing up, so I'm able to see the roots. I'm able to see the little bitty things that I probably wouldn't see if I was standing up and doing it standing up.
Yes.
I get fussed at about going up and down stairs, but I'm able to see the steps. I'm not tripping over because I'm taking my time and I'm seeing what I do.
Yeah. And, I don't know if this is accurate, but I suspect there's something in the slowing down that you're to allow into your life that you didn't even know was trying to get into your life. Like, I don't know if it's because I can't or don't want to keep doing these things over here, or I'm going to do them at the pace I do them at, that there's another thing seeking to come into your life that will give you more pleasure than the way that you have done it all along. Like, see, here's what I mean by that. You have an idea of how life is supposed to work, because for a long time it worked that way, and now it doesn't. And your aunt, is it your aunt?
Yes.
So your aunt had the same thing, and guess what? As soon as it changed, she was like, no, 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 I don't like this, I don't want this, this is not my idea of a party, right? And that's why she was so negative, which was really hard on you, that she was so negative, because it was like, my whole life sucks, my whole life sucks,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, okay.
So the reason that's really important, it reminds me of a story that Marianne Williamson taught, which is, she teaches Course in Miracles, and she said that she was in line at a deli, and it was taking really long for people's orders to get fulfilled. And she said the woman in front of her was so angry, because I should be getting my soup right now, right? And she said and she stormed out. And she said it was really interesting, because she said, I know if I had met her at a party and she had really met me, we would have liked each other. Because like, she saw her before she got all upset, And she said, but this was God's party, this was not our party. It was God's timing. And she could not get on board with, there's an opportunity for me to know this person in line with me, right? She didn't see the opportunity because she was so busy, it should be happening this way, which is us being attached to the way that we think the party of God should be showing. And so she said, I got the lesson, and I turned to the person behind me and I introduced myself, and he said these words to her, I guess I wasn't in as much of a hurry as I thought I was. And it's so funny that story, so she said, I lived from that place of I'm going to go along with God's idea of a party. And then she could see the new opportunity, right? Because she had the choice to see somebody that was resisting God's party and then make a decision not to resist God's party. And when she did that, her opportunities were available to her. So it's really funny because whenever I'm stuck in traffic or whenever I'm stuck in a long line and I can feel myself wanting to go, I don't like this, I hear the man in my head saying, I guess I wasn't in as much of a hurry as I thought I was. And I will do my best to turn to the person behind me or in front of me and say, hey, looks like we're supposed to get to know each other today. Something like that. Because there's always the opportunity in front of us, but we can't see it because we're so rebellious about what's happening to us. You have so many gifts, Patricia, that you may be being slowed down because you have something more to contribute and you can't see it when you get disgusted with how slow it is. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So I would just say, show me the opportunities, God. Because I think they'll start showing themselves now. And your fear is, I don't want to be like my aunt. But I also don't want to be dishonest. This bothers me. And it bothers me because I feel like my life has more meaning when I'm X, Y, Z. And that is a life dependent upon the outside circumstances. Like Damon knows my business goes up and down. Some days I literally don't know if I can keep doing it because my finances will go way down and I'm like, God, give me a sign, And the important part is, can I be happy when I have money and can I be happy when I don't have money? That's freedom.
Yeah.
Yes.
So can I be happy when I move fast? Can I be happy when I move slow? Because it's God's party. Right? So I hope that helps you love your life a little more, is to go, yeah, I'm not liking this slow pace, and what's the opportunity? So what about you guys? Are you loving your lives? You're shaking your head no a little bit?
No, I think because you were talking.
You were shaking your head, so I would say you're up.
You're so silly. I don't mind going, but I'd already said something, so I was supposed to
It's
be-
okay. You guys, I think we have plenty. Well,
Well,
maybe
I-
not. We might not have
You
plenty
got
of
time, go.
Oh.
Thank you.
I would say that just by listening to everybody, I'm starting to get an understanding of the part where you may not love your life part.
Yes.
And now I see why I didn't. And I didn't love it because I wasn't speaking up for myself. I was just allowing things to be. And so I would say that there are areas where I don't, and it's nobody's fault. It's my own way of doing things.
Most people don't speak up for themselves. Most people don't even know what they feel and what they want. Because we teach people to ask themselves, what am I feeling, what do I want? And I see people that are 40, 50, 60 years old that say, I've never asked myself, what am I feeling, what do I want? And when you speak up, remember, speaking up does not mean confrontation. Speaking up means just speaking. And we have this idea speaking up for ourselves is going to look like this real aggressive thing. That is not who you are.
Amen.
Amen. So, thank you for sharing that. How about you? Are you loving your life?
I don't think I'm loving my life.
What would you change so that you loved it more?
That would be in a different house, a different neighborhood.
Okay.
I would have more finances.
You'd have more money?
I think that I am too old to not have financial stability. And it's nobody's fault, it's my fault. But yeah,
Are you feeling afraid?
a little bit.
Okay. That's the first step, just being able to say, I'm kind of scared, I'm getting older, I don't have the money I should have, I'm feeling unsafe in my neighborhood, I don't like my house, maybe it's too much work, I don't know what it is. So,
No,
you
it's
know,
apartment.
okay, or my apartment. So, this isn't even about solution as much as it's about even saying, I don't like it when. I don't like it that this is happening. And that's where you can bring that to God. It was really funny the other day. I said, okay, God, should I go out and get a different job or give me a sign? Because I don't know. I don't know what to do because my money was getting really low. And my son, he works for this company, and he had started telling me the night before that he had to channel his inner mom, which surprised me because I didn't even know that he was like the one at his workplace trying to help people get along. I just didn't know that about him because he hadn't shared it with me. And so he said, yeah, I got all the owners together, and I made them all sit down together and talk through what was going on, and then I told them, we need to come together tomorrow, and we need to have another conversation, And I said, you're doing great, and I love it that you're doing that, and I would love it if you had all the tools you could possibly have, and I will give them to your company if it would help. And that's all I said. I didn't even think I had an iota of chance that he would even bring that to them. And the next day he calls me and he says, Mom, I told one of my owners, and they want you to come in today and talk to us about that. And so I did, and I'm saying this to you because I couldn't see a way. I just said, God, give me a sign. God, help me to see what to do, because I didn't know what to do. And I went in and I presented what I do, and I said, I have no attachment to it. If you don't want to use it, it's fine. And if you want to use it without me, it's completely free, which is like $20,000 worth of free. And I said, and if you want my help, it'll cost about $10,000 at the lowest cost I can give you. And they accepted it immediately. Now, I'm saying that because God always provides more than we can imagine, but we can't even give it to God if we don't say, man, I'm not loving my life. I'm not loving that I'm in this situation. The other thing is, you had a good reason for choosing what you chose that has you where you are. Like, you made choices that has your finances where they are, and that was okay. I know that there's a part of you that feels like, I'm the only one I can blame. No, you don't have to blame yourself, because you made decisions for reasons that were right for you at the time, that were the best you knew to make. And now you're here, and there's nothing irrevocable about that. Does that make sense? But the minute you say, I'm a bad person because I didn't manage my finances, you've already insulted God, because God does not see you as a bad person. Does that make sense? Anything you want to say about any of this? We're all a little bit hanging from a thread, even the people that have the most money, even the people that have the best houses. So we have strengths and we have frailty, but our strength is God, right?
I just want to appreciate how one thing that I'm experiencing today is causing us to really deal with and process our fears. Mm-hmm. And what I keep hearing and seeing, even in other people's yards, is
it's okay to peek.
Yeah, is that there are the motivator or the lack of motivation that we have behind a lot of things that we're doing and not doing is our own fears.
Yes.
It's our own apprehension there. And I just started looking back into even some things in my past and said, wow, this is where I checked out. Mm-hmm. I checked out because I was afraid of this, or I was afraid of that, or how is this going to be? And I never dealt with it from the standpoint of, this is what I'm feeling.
Yes.
I always dealt with it externally. I just think that's great.
Yeah, and it's like when we don't look at it, it just goes in a closet somewhere, but it's not gone. So yeah, I mean, I would say the most important thing for you right now is to forgive the fact that you're here. Mm-hmm. Forgive that I don't have more money. That was then. Your decisions about that was then. You're here now. And it'll free up the energy that you're using that is beating yourself up for being where you are. So I think we're past time a little bit, right? Is this a good place to stop, David?
I don't know what time it is.
It's
so
9:35.
You got a few more minutes if you like.
Do you guys need more?
Oh, we need more.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? I'll stay, I'll do more if you guys have more.
I had an online comment that said, fear causes us to do lots of things that we don't want to. I'm sorry, causes us to do lots of things that we don't want to do.
Yeah. It causes us to do a lot of things that are not, it's not that we don't want to do them, because we wouldn't do them if we didn't want to do them, but it's because we can't see alternatives. You know, like when, in our work, we always say that people need to feel empowered, lovable, connected, and contributing. And when they don't, they will do anything to get those needs met. And that's why I'll sometimes use the example of a gang member that will go and kill somebody because they want to feel empowered, lovable, connected, and contributing so much that they will accept it in whatever form it shows up, even if they have to override their conscience and their fear of imprisonment. And the same is true of all of us. If we don't know how to get those needs met, we will sell our soul for those needs because we don't know how to do it. And so fear makes us make bad choices. Fear prevents us from seeing the opportunities that are in the space. You know, when do you guys remember me doing the rope exercise with all of you? So I'm gonna do it with you real quick right now. Some of you might remember it. So imagine that you're in a big crowd. Let's say the whole room was filled. And I asked you to come up, all of you. I'm pointing at you, but I'm asking you all to be the central character. And I give you a rope, and you tie it around your waist in a tight bow, like a shoestring. And 4 other people come up, and they put ropes around your belt, your rope belt. And I give you a blindfold, and I have you put the blindfold on. But before I do that, I hold up this huge chocolate bar. And if you don't like chocolate, picture it a box of steaks or something you like. And it represents all your goals and dreams. And I'm going to place it somewhere in the room, but you're not going to know where it is because you're going to have a blindfold on. And the 4 people that are attached to you, their job is to take you to the chocolate bar or whatever it is, and to do it with no words and nothing but the ropes, and to do it safely. So you're kind of at the mercy of these 4 people because you're completely blindfolded. You don't even know where the chocolate bar is, and they're supposed to get you there safely and navigate a room and everything. So they do. They get you there. And then I say to you, okay, take off your blindfold. Now I'm going to place the chocolate bar somewhere in the room. You're going to be able to see it because you have your blindfold off. The 4 people, I'm going to ask them to put a blindfold on. So they're still tied to you. Now they have blindfolds on. And I'm going to say her job is to get to her goals and dreams. And your job to the 4 people is to do everything you can to not cooperate with her. What would you do? So what would you do? And I would say to you guys, as the central character, you can do anything you want. You can beg, you can plead, you can negotiate, whatever. What would you guys do?
You can't take the rope off.
You could take the rope off.
That's what I do.
Okay, most people do not see that.
Oh.
So that's the point of it. I've been in rooms where there's 100 people and nobody sees it. Or maybe a person in the audience sees it, but the people up in the front of the room don't see it. And they'll say, well, I would force everybody. I would try to use my power, which is a choice in our life, right? Or people would say, I would try to use reverse psychology. Or they would say, I would try to do win-win. Well, if you help me get to the chocolate bar, I'll share the chocolate bar, right? And what's interesting about it is that one time I was watching this exercise. I have done it probably over 100 times, and a woman was in the main role, and what she did was something I'd never thought of and never seen done before. She pointed to somebody that was right by the chocolate bar and said, "Will you bring the chocolate bar to me?" Now, that was a mind bender because here I'm living a life where I don't see the millions of resources in front of me because I'm attached to the solution has to come from here. And so we're always given the opportunity to see the opportunity, but we can't see it if we're on our own limiting thinking and our own reacting. And one time I did this with all of you, and somebody, I don't know who it was, told this fantastic story about how she had prayed for being released from her bonds, and how God had really let her out of prison, and we were all crying. I mean, it was very moving. I don't even remember who it was now. And then when I did that exercise, she was the central character. And the very, very first part of the exercise, the rope fell off. I've never seen that before or since. And I picked it up and I tied it, thinking she just didn't tie it tight enough. And in the second half, before she could even do anything, the rope fell off again. And I was like, holy cow. And I said, part of me wanted to rush up and tie it again, and I was like, no, I'm going to see what she does with this. What do you guys think she did with it? You might have been there. You might even remember.
I don't remember that. You do
Do you
remember?
think she walked free to her goals and dreams?
Mm-mm.
She tied the
Put it
right,
back
she
on.
tied the right.
She tied the
back
rope,
on.
and she even tied it in a knot. And she even helped everybody retether themselves.
Wow.
Isn't that a lesson?
Yeah.
Because I said, just notice you have prayed for and received evidence of being freed, and you are the one that is choosing to rebind yourself.
Wow.
And that's true. Everything that's learned in all of this is learned for all of us. Like, we're all those roles. We are all the person who would retie the rope. We're all the person that would forget to go ask somebody to help. We're all the person, like, I've never seen the 4 people ever say, I'm not going to keep her from her goals. I'm like, why would you do what I'm telling you to do if you wouldn't really do it in your life? I said to him, like, if you had a person there and I was telling you to hold them back from their goals, would you do it? Well, no. Well, how come you're doing it right now? Well, because you told us to. What if I'm Hitler? Right? So fear prevents us from seeing the opportunities. Even me, I was afraid there was only a certain amount of answers. I didn't see those other answers. And I bet you there's going to be more. So good for you, Patricia. Just take off the rope. Because I can't tell you how few people see that sometimes. Or they'll say, I'll cut the rope, which is saying something about, I cut people out of my life to have what I want, as opposed to I just gently untie the rope, which is a different kind of confronting of our life. I don't have to cut anybody off to move toward what I want.
So if people want more of this, how do they reach you? Where can they find you?
I don't know, Damon, can you put out there my website? and
You're
stuff?
you can just tell
Okay,
us.
so it's just lifeworksystems.com. Systems is plural, the other is not. Lifeworksystems.com, and my email is judy@lifeworksystems.com. And I would love to hear from anybody.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.